Some things in this world just naturally go together, are used in common phrases, are pairings that are part of everyday life. And heck, this is true even in a galaxy far, far away. And one of the cooler pairings that we get a lot, especially in toy form, is Luke Skywalker and his pet Wampa. Okay, well, maybe pet isn't quite the right word because the Wampa was trying to eat him. Although, there have been pets that have tried to eat people. Never have an alligator as a pet. Trust me from experience. Well, as I said, the pairing of Luke and a Wampa with an occasional extra figure thrown in there for funsies is a very repeatable thing, motif, package execution, however you want to put it. We get a lot of these. And the reason is it's what in the toy industry is called a battle in a box, meaning you get a good guy, you get a bad guy, and kids, ideally, the main buyer of product, can instantly play with the product. And whether you're getting a furry abominable snowman or a highly articulated 6-inch action figure or 6-inch scale action figure of the Wampa, pairing Luke and a Wampa is a very, very toyetic product. You see it a lot. And the first time we saw it in the modern Star Wars toy line, Power of the Force 2, was in 1997 as part of the Beast assortment, more or less the second wave, which also included Tauntauns, because everything should include Tauntauns. Life is better when things include Tauntauns. But if you have a Tauntaun, you also need a Wampa. And apparently the Wampa's official symbol is that little yellow window there. I think that was like neutral characters that weren't Empire or Jedi, or Empire or Rebel. Either way, Luke and the Wampa were finally here. At least the Wampa was. We'd already gotten a Luke Skywalker, but it was great to get it in this Beast assortment because not only was it affordable, but hey, we got a bio of the Wampa. Luke, I guess, doesn't get a bio on the back of the package. He's just sort of the Wampa's accessory. As kids, one Hoth Luke pretty much did it. You didn't really have variants of the same character in the same outfit. Like, you got Jedi Luke, you got Hoth Luke, you got Tatooine Luke. We didn't get multiple versions of that same outfit. Well, the modern line had really broken this mold with the gunner stations, where we got Luke wearing a stormtrooper belt and having the little headset sculpted on. So this was the first time we had a real scene-specific version. Well, I guess you could count the Han Hoth from Power of the Force 2, since he wears his hat without the hood for like 2 seconds. But now with the Luke and Wampa pairing, we were also going to get a scene-specific version of Hoth Luke, namely one that could hang upside down and had a bloody face. And this was also achieved by a new point of articulation with a scarf attached to his head that could flip upside down. Not only could you do this in play, but it was actually packaged like this, which was pretty cool because it stood out on shelf. You don't often get action figures packed out upside down. Batman Beyond tried this a few times, and obviously over the whole history of action figures, there have been errors. There's that Han I was talking about who wore his hat without a hood for about 3 seconds. Again, he was never upside down, but he was in this accidental package mistake. And the original trilogy collection actually did a Dagobah Luke upside down. It was the only other time we've ever gotten an upside-down packed action figure in Star Wars. So hey, Wampa and Dagobah Luke, both times Luke, always upside down. Well, twice. Scene-specific Luke with blood on his face has been done a few times in the line as a way to refresh Hoth Luke. That's pretty much the only way to refresh him, standard and beat up, if you will. And standard version also continues to ship. We've gotten him almost every sort of line iteration. Hoth Luke tends to show up in one way or another. Hey, he's popular. But for our very first Wampa figure in the modern line paired with a Luke, well, it was more or less a reissue or kit bash or, repaint, although obviously new head because it had to have new tooling for the scarf to flip upside down. The original version was just a single-carded figure coming with a blaster and a lightsaber. The version that we would get with the Wampa would only have the lightsaber, which kind of makes sense. And he would have, again, that bloody face, and there was more detailing on the scarf, which now was on a pivot joint and could flip upside down, front, backwards, but not through time. And we would get better versions down the line using the same type of concept, and other ones without the goggles sculpted onto his head, which is actually more screen accurate, because as we went forward in the line, we got more screen accurate. One of the coolest things, though, about Hoth as a Star Wars, call it planet or play environment, is the fact that for those of us who live above a certain, latitude, longitude, in a certain area, you get snow. And there were a lot of Hoth figures put out in the 80s. I mean, a lot more than Tatooine figures. I never had Hoth Luke, but I did have this guy, the Rebel, not Commander, I think he was the Rebel, not Rebel Trooper. I forget what he was actually called. Someone's going to put it in the comments and say I don't know anything because I can't remember his name. But the point is, this was my Luke. I made him into Luke. He was close enough to Luke. And I also never had Han, which was a disappointment. But I had all the other ones. I had Leia, I had the Snowtroopers, I had the mustached Rebel Trooper Commander. I think that one was the Commander. I don't know. Either way, you know what I'm talking about. And while lots of us had Hoth stuff, like the AT-AT, or AT-AT, as it should be called, those of us living in a colder climate, I grew up in Connecticut until we moved to California in 3rd grade, and yeah, actually getting snow every year was like getting a free playset on our lawn. In fact, my General Veers AT-AT Commander figure showed up in the spring when the snow melted. My dad almost ran him over with the lawnmower. All right, so let's talk more about the Wampa. The Wampa makes a very brief appearance in the original trilogy in the original version, and there's an interesting story behind that. There were a few different ways that the Wampa was going to be portrayed on screen. Both full bodysuits were created, full outfits for actors to basically stand and walk around, as well as puppets, as well as just slip-on heads for close-up shots. Unfortunately, or fortunately, or hand of fate, none of these shots were just looking good to George Lucas, that guy, the guy who used to own Star Wars, and etc. So, yeah, you probably heard of him. So, while there were lots of different ways they attempted to pull the Wampa off as a practical effect, because, CGI didn't exist back then, well, none of it was really working. And because of that, a lot of the Wampa footage and scenes got cut. And we were basically down to like 2 close-up shots of the Wampa attacking Luke. Now, there were many, many extended scenes involving Wampas in the Rebel base and Echo base. You've probably seen some of the shots of 2-1B there, this one without his legs on, working on a Tauntaun to make him all better. And that's because there were Wampas running around the base, eating people and attacking Tauntauns, and it added to the threat level. So there was a lot shot with different rebels facing off against multiple Wampas that had either snuck into the base or were actually captured. So this shot here of 3PO and R2 with the door behind them is in the movie. What's not in the movie is the next second where 3PO turns around and rips this sticker off of the door. So what does this sticker say? It says, "Wampa's in here, beware, don't go in this door," or something like that. I can't read Arborish. Is that even Arborish? I don't know. But whatever it is, that's what it says. Danger, Wampas, or I don't know, maybe it's an ad for a free coffee at Starbucks. Who knows? But the point is, he rips it off, and now the stormtroopers don't know that this door is, there's bad things behind this, and to comedic results. So, Wampas being in Hoth Base, while they didn't make it into the movie and got cut, they still show up in art and in the video games as sort of part of Star Wars lore. Specifically in the Shadows of the Empire game, when handsome hero Dash Rendar, you have to be handsome if your name is Dash, right? When he's running around Echo Base in one of the levels, he actually encounters some Wampas, which was an homage, or really an incorporation of this cutscene. There's even ways of getting multiple Wampas to sort of attack each other if you can lure them close to each other. It's kind of fun, because if you get 2 Wampas in the room, they'll, go all Wampa on each other. So while the Wampas weren't seen that much in the original version, when the special edition came out, well, this was George's chance to fix things and make them better. McClunky. And so we got full shots of our Wampa. What used to be a, sort of hear, or, fear just because you're hearing something, now it was showing it. And for better or ill, this also meant that we were going to get more Wampa action figures. And the next Wampa that we got in the line, and we'll obviously get to this as a video in time, was much more special edition specific, especially because it had that piece of Tauntaun that it could chew on. And it was re-released as a box set at Toys R Us as well. And then the final version of the Wampa we got, and I say final because at this point, I don't know, I kind of doubt we're ever going to get another one. Especially because this one's really good, even though it was really hard to find at retail, because it shipped with The Last Jedi, and was it The Last Jedi? No, I'm sorry. Yeah, Last Jedi. And it was actually pretty much almost like a Black Series figure with so much articulation. It was pretty cool. But for my money, the vintage one. The vintage one, really, I have so many memories of playing with it, especially because I had snow outside my door several months of the year. The new one was cool. I missed having the horns be, separate pieces. Now they were just sculpted flat against the head, but it got the job done. I mean, it was a lot better than the abominable snowman they did in the 12-inch line.